welcome. My name is Alan Percy. I'm Senior Director of Marketing at AudioCodes, and pleased to have you join us here for our session talking about unified communications and Lync and avoiding what we call the pilot trap. So the first question probably a lot of folks say is, so what is the pilot trap? You know, explain, right? So I thought we'd do is let's just start and have a little sort of high-level conversation about unified communications. Well, first of all, UC is dependent on a lot of moving parts. UC as an application is certainly a software application, but it's also dependent on headsets and phones, servers, different gateway components, session border controllers, and other elements in the network. The question is, how do you get these pieces all to work together? And much like the mousetrap game we've got here on the screen, the reality is if these pieces all work correctly, everything should work in synchronization together. But unfortunately, some folks find themselves at the end of all this getting caught on the trap. Well, how do they get caught in the trap? And what's the trap? This is what happens. Folks start out with unified communication sometimes sort of accidentally. They say, hey, you know, I'm an IT partner. I'm a smart guy. I'm just, you know, I'm going to download the software or get a copy of it as part of my CAL license, and I'm going to start to implement Lync. So they sort of skip the training piece. You know, they sort of forget about, you know, spending some time and getting trained. So they move past this piece. And the second thing that sometimes happens is that they assume that their network that did a really good job for web and data was ready for voice. And in many cases, that may or may not be true, but you don't know. You don't know if your network's ready for voice communication. The third step is then starting to implement instant messaging and presence. And generally that's when people start to work in unified communications. That's the first step. They want to use instant messaging and presence with their customers or with their coworkers, and it's actually pretty successful. You know, they've got a good experience. People get addicted to it. It becomes a very big part of their productivity. The next step then is shopping for those voice elements. So, you know, there's a lot of different pieces that are necessary. We talked about gateways and phones and headsets and other elements. How do you choose these components? Well, a lot of folks go to TechNet, for example, or maybe they go on some of the social media platforms to make their decisions about what devices to buy. You know, sometimes these devices, while they're all certified, have not necessarily had real good success working together. And this starts to cause some problems. What happens now is you add these voice features to this pilot group. So you got this set of users that now are used to the instant messaging and presence, are used to these productivity tools, but now we're starting to add this voice function not only to the user's desktop, but you've started to add voice to the network. Now the network starts to potentially have some problems. So what we're going to do is, you know, users are going to love it. They feel comfortable with it. These pilots are really happy with this experience. So you're going to add more. And things seem to work. And everything's great. So you add even more. And next thing that happens, unfortunately, is your network isn't going to be able to handle it, and down comes the trap. And you get stuck. And you get stuck in a situation where that you've begun to deploy Lync, and you start to have issues and voice quality problems. You can't go back because you've already got people addicted to the instant messaging, presence, and some of the voice features, but you can't go forward either because you're having these voice quality problems in the executives. So what happened here? Let's just sort of decompose what happened here. Well, there were three important building blocks that were missing, we think, in the Lync deployment. The first one was there wasn't sufficient education and experience, and this is a very important step. Becoming educated on not only Lync, but also on the networking technology that Lync rides on. Secondly, is you didn't know whether or not your network was ready for this. An assessment was not done to prove that your network was ready for the rigors of voice. And last but not least is the device selection. You know, there really was not a lot of logic in deciding what devices to use. It was sort of haphazard. You know, I went to TechNet, I chose a few things off the net, and maybe didn't necessarily make some great choices, but, you know, how would I know? What kind of resources? So these are the reasons why folks got caught in the pilot trap. So what we've discovered is that you need to have the shopping list, and you're going to need media gateways, you're going to need session border controllers a lot of times, or survivable branch appliances. You're going to need a recording and logging often as part of your solution. You also too probably need network management software, something to manage the traffic and monitor the traffic on the network. In addition to that too, you're probably going to need some certified phones, and now some of the other elements like headsets and professional services to make this part of your solution. How do you pick these pieces? Well, what we've done at AudioCodes is introduce something called AudioCodes One Voice for Lync. And what this is a comprehensive offering of all the network elements, the education pieces, and support services necessary to deploy Lync, for our partners to be able to take this then to their customers and to be successful with Lync. It consists of a number of different elements. We have a number of components from SIP trunking and TDM through our partnerships, connectivity to different elements, including existing PBXs. These are all needs, and One Voice for Lync connects these pieces all together with a unified offering. It really consists of one source for all the network elements. It consists of the professional services needed to deploy Lync, and lastly, a single point of contact for support. So that's the core element of our One Voice for Lync offering. So one of the big benefits that we see with using this strategy is that there's significantly shorter design cycle. You can go to one place and get all the elements necessary to deploy Lync. Significant simplification in the actual deployment itself, because you're working with one vendor, they can bring all these components together and install them. And operational efficiency in not having to manage the relationship with many different vendors. Instead, there's fewer contracts, there's fewer purchasing processes, it's much simplified. So what are others saying about this? Well, we've had some of the industry's leading consultants look at our strategy and look at our plan and got some great comments. Marty Parker, the co-founder of UC Strategies, in a nutshell, said that we've correctly identified and addressed the challenge faced by customers as they migrate to Lync. Important. One of our leading analysts at Infinetics Research said the most recent report shows Microsoft continuing to have strong gains, and that AudioCodes One Voice for Lync is a broad complement of solutions to the growing base of Microsoft UC, a recognized authority on the market. And lastly, from Microsoft themselves, Giovanni Mezek, the general manager of Microsoft, said that this is an opportunity to accelerate deployments and voice-enabled Microsoft Lync. Again, a tremendous testament to the concept of simplification. So the benefits to the end customers, again, simplification, reduced time, reduced management, improved support, and much greater success. To our partner community, some tremendous values in again, reducing complexity, bringing the components together, and some advantages on promoting our partners that chooses to work with us under our One Voice strategy. So what do we expect, or what do we hope you do for next steps? Well, first of all, we hope you spend some time learning about the One Voice for Lync solution and strategy, and also learn about Microsoft Lync and its technology. We also hope you spend some time experiencing it, and spend some time with us here in the pavilion. Talk to some of our partners, as you see here in the pavilion, and also at our AudioCodes booth. We'd be happy to have you discuss it. And lastly, work with us, collaborate. Feel free to connect with us on our social media platforms. That we've got a dedicated group in LinkedIn that offers a number of tips and tricks for those that work with us. So with that, I'd like to open it up for maybe a couple of questions, and then we can go from there. Any questions? No? Yeah.
How do you handle disaster recovery?
Yeah, so how does Microsoft Lync handle disaster recovery? Well, Microsoft can be deployed in such a way so that there's multiple nodes in a network, and the nodes cover for each other. They have backups. In addition to that, too, there's the concept of a survivable branch appliance, which, if isolated, can run in a simplified version of Lync, so that the office can continue to operate and do some basic instant messaging and calling while it's isolated from the wide area network and the core. Yep. Okay. All right. All right, well, thanks everyone for spending a few minutes with us. Again, I hope you visit the rest of the partners in the pavilion, and we'll have another presentation starting at the bottom of the hour. So thanks again.